We are continuing this awesome conversation of unraveling key challenges men face in today's society. Now, past couple of weeks was very good. I think this one's going to be very good as well. Um, and the problem when it comes down to unraveling, this particular challenge is that again, like I said before, everybody has an opinion. Everybody's trying to tell a man what to do. Everybody's trying to tell a man how to be a man. Everybody's like using terms like real men will, or real men whatever. And I think it becomes somewhat frustrating. It becomes somewhat challenging from that perspective. And then given the context of several different situations, what you will find is that certain men go into a depressive state because they don't necessarily feel fulfilled as men. They feel like failures and things of that nature, all because of a lot of the opinions, not just because of the opinions of significant others, but their assumed opinions as well. So that becomes a problem. So again, the problem is just ginormous. It's you have what's on social media, you have what's on TV, you have what's going on in the environment, you have failed relationships that equate to what a man may feel about who they are, and also you have some separation when it comes to children. We talked about that as well. And so that's why one of the reasons why we created the Empowering Perspective membership program, because we believe in creating a system that allows everybody to get back to the core competencies of who they were created to be. Teaching ways to overcome adversity and actually stay in a position of your greatness so that you can fulfill what you were created to do on this earth. And so again, if you have not joined the program again, I think I'm telling you, I think you're missing something. So again, look up under your screen if you're on YouTube, locate the join button, click on the join button, and follow the prompts. I think you will enjoy the minor investment that you make. Remember, the most important investment that you will ever make in your life is an investment in yourself. Now, the topic for this evening, as I was just kind of alluding to, is the importance of discovering purpose. Now, every time we do this, we always go to the mindset of the individual who came up with this topic. And as you can probably guess it was me. So when it comes down to this particular topic here, like this topic here is near and dear to my heart because I think a lot of times we spend a lot of wasted time, and I say it's wasted because we never get any type of traction, but we spend a lot of wasted time trying to figure out like what was I created for? What am I supposed to do on this earth? Like what am I called to do? What is specific for me? And I think everybody has that, whether they say it or not. And I think the struggles that come behind that is that, like I've always say, we get into the mindset of just doing. We're just going to do a thing and then figure it out en route. Or we're going to listen to what somebody else's opinion is, and then we're going to do what somebody else's opinion is. And we never get to the point of realizing that my destination may not necessarily be the same as another person's destination. Or even if it is the same, I may not I probably am not supposed to take the exact same route. So another person's opinion about what it is that you're doing or how it is that you're doing can be just as detrimental as doing absolutely nothing at all. And so that's one of the reasons why I looked at this, because for me, it took me years to figure this out. And then as I thought about it and I reflected back, I think I could have gotten there sooner, but there were some things that needed to be in place first that wasn't there. So that means I had to go on a self reflective journey of frustration, pain, and anger to get to the point to realize and say, hey, you were created to do this one thing. And I believe there are a lot of us, a lot of people out there like me who go through that. And what we do is we keep it to ourselves and we go through the anxiety, frustration, of pain of just keeping it suppressed in and making everybody else believe that everything is okay. Gentlemen, what is your thoughts based upon everything I just said, or just the thoughts that you had when you seen this topic on your own?
You just described my life right now.
Hmm.
I am going through that phase right now. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, like I said earlier, I'm grateful and I'm also reflective. On the 3rd, I celebrated 20 years cancer free. And I still feel like I'm stuck in the same rut. I still feel like I'm stuck in the same place. You understand what I'm saying? I still feel like that same kid that was sick 20 years ago. And I'm trying to get out of that. And you brought up fear. The only thing that I am terrified of is getting sick again. But the more I think about getting sick again, I start to feel like I'm going to get sick again because I'm constantly thinking about getting sick again. You understand what I'm saying? So that's where I am right now, if that makes any sense.
When I saw the topic, it made me reflect back to when I was going through mine. I'm still raising threes, not raising. My sons are 18, 21, and 28, but I still have the 18 and 21-year-old at home. And I got to remember that when I talk to them, that it wasn't, too long ago where my purpose wasn't discovered, so it makes me, when I thought about this, it made me think about, the information that I want to share with my sons. It makes me think about, um, where they are. And it's like I'm trying to input so much stuff into them right now, trying to talk to them and stuff, because I feel like I lagged in teaching them certain things because of the military, because I didn't have my purpose. So it's like now I'm sitting back and I was like, I saw the topic and I was like, am I expecting certain things out of them? You know what I mean? It's like, bro, you wasn't there at 18 and 21 either. So now it's more focused on just giving the information and planting the seeds, and not necessarily trying to change them into something else. And all of that, all those thoughts came about, from the purpose and from, just thinking about this topic. You know what I mean? So all of just when this topic came up, all of that information, all of those different thoughts and stuff came from just seeing what this topic was about. So I'm very grateful again for this topic and how we all can sit over here as men and talk about. Roland said something funny earlier. He's like, "Hey, I gotta wear my head around the front tonight because this is serious." And I think it's gonna be serious. I think it's gonna be a great conversation. I think we're all gonna get something from it. Like, I'm very interested in learning tonight and sharing what experience, information I may have, and to be able to add some value to the conversation as well.
When I saw the topic, I thought about how for many years I didn't realize that I really didn't have any purpose. I thought my purpose was just to go to work, get a check, make sure the kids got food, make sure they got a roof over their head. I didn't really have any purpose. So now that I'm in this stage of life, I'm realizing that, man, for all those years, I never had a purpose. And so I want to be to a point to where I can mentor people who were like me, people who didn't even know, didn't weren't thinking about it, and now I want them to be ahead of the power curve, way ahead of it than where I was at that point, or even ahead of that.
Man, um, to be honest with you, like I don't think I can do anything other than echo what my brothers have already expressed, because it's that mindset of where do I go, what do I do, because I think for at least for me, I can speak for me. It was easy for me to get lost in life and say, hey, I'm just gonna stay right here because I don't know anything else. I don't know what my purpose is. And then if I find out my purpose and if it's not related to wearing a uniform, can I take the uniform off and do that or whatever? I I I think this topic right here throughout my life has caused me in some areas to overthink, maybe overreact. But I watched too many men and too many people that I grew up with, even now watching a lot of people just do and be unhappy or be stagnant. And it's because we've never looked to see, well, what's my purpose? Where do I make change? Where can I create impact? You know, or like we like to say, well, what is God? calling me out to do. That's what we like to say. How does and so how do I move? How do I figure that out? How do I go and how do I navigate? So that's where my mind went when I first saw the topic, and like that's how I started spinning my mind around how I was going to approach this conversation. But all great points.
I like it. I like it. And that's kind of like what I was saying in the beginning. Like no one had a blueprint. Like we all had to figure it out in some shape, form, or fashion. And I think the key that we heard just now is that, you know, it was our own thing. And so that being said, I want to dive into the first question here. Since we've already discovered that it was different for all of us, right? How would you describe a man's journey toward discovering purpose in his life?
Painful. That is how I would describe it.
Man, I need more than that, bro.
Painful. I'm telling you, man. And I say this all the time, man. Trying to figure out your purpose comes with a lot of unlearning and rewiring. And a lot of times that unlearning and rewiring is painful because you're unlearning things that you've been doing all your life. You're unlearning things that you've heard all your life. You're changing things that you have been doing all your life. And it's painful. You understand what I'm saying? Like it really is. And I always say this is the component of finding purpose that nobody talks about. Not how simple it is, but how it's not easy and how painful it is to have to go through it. Nobody talks about that.
Let me ask this because I'm glad you started um, about the pain piece of it. Like, where does that pain come from? If you can kind of like give us a little snapshot. Like, what causes the pain? Where does it come from? And how does it persist? Because trust me, I think everybody can relate. So I just want you to kind of dive into it a little bit.
I'll speak from a base level. It starts from within. Like when you change things that you have been doing for so long, your body has a chemical reaction. And some people don't know how to deal with that. And it hurts. It hurts mentally because it hurts mentally, it hurts physically, it hurts emotionally. And a lot of times it hurts spiritually because when you're going through and you're trying to find your purpose and you're seeing that what you've been called to do does not align with any of the nonsense that you have been taught, that you've heard, that you've done, your body goes through changes. You understand what I'm saying? You feel anxiety. You sometimes have panic attacks. You understand what I'm saying? Like it's it's just pain. It's one of those things that it's indescribable. It's something that you literally have to go through to understand.
Mm,
You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
So yeah, it's painful. It's painful, and a lot of times when a man finds his purpose, thank you, Lisa Keys, you have a sense of loss. You go through the 5 stages of grief. It is painful because when a man finds his purpose, a lot of times he loses his old self, which is kind of like a death in the family. You understand what I'm saying? It's
Oh,
painful.
oh, I get it. I just want you to explain it so everybody else can get it.
I'm telling you, man. And I'm speaking as someone currently going through it. There's no age limit to this, man. Like there
Yeah.
really isn't. There's no age limit to this. There's a time period where you sit and you think to yourself, I'm not living up to my potential, but I've been told this, but I know I can do this, but I've been told this. But what I know I can do contradicts everything that I have been taught. So now I have to go through all of these changes to do this. It
Yeah.
is painful. Seriously, it really is.
Can I
And
ask
mainly,
oh, go ahead.
and mainly the pain of it, and I say this all the time, and I'm pretty sure that everybody's gonna crack a smile when I say this, but the pain of this comes from letting go of your ego. The death of the ego, and oh my God, the death of your ego and self accountability. Those two things are painful.
Mr. Props over there. You about to ask something, Uncle Junior?
Yeah, I just want to ask everybody a question, and then
Well,
I'll.
let's finish this question first. Then I definitely want to hear your question as well.
It's kind of a clarifying question for me
Okay.
as a lead-in question. How
Gotcha.
old was everybody in here when they kind of discovered their purpose or kind of learned about purpose in general? Around what age?
30, when I learned about purpose.
Okay.
I will say
This
within the past few years.
Okay.
Within the past few years for me, because
40s?
yeah, like 48, 47, 48, because
Okay.
I'm in the process of when you, like Chris was saying, you got to unlearn a lot of behaviors of yourself. And that'll lead me into what I was going to say about this, because we have natural expectations of manhood. We're expected to be this. We're expected to be strong. We're expected to be not cry. We're expected to do all these things, while at the same time not having one, the resources, and also those people that can show us how to do it properly. Because we've had those, everybody had those uncles where Uncle taught you some things. He put you up on game that wasn't necessarily game, but it was just what he knew and what somebody taught him, and what will allow you to survive. But it's not going to push you into your purpose. It's not going to sustain you in life, and you can't bottle it and give it to the next man so that they can walk in their purpose.
I like it.
rolling on top of that, the trust in trying to find somebody to actually show you the path, for lack of a better term. Because when you are unlearning all of these things, you are unlearning things that you were taught by people who loved you. You understand what I'm saying? And then when you find out that 80 to 90% of the nonsense that they taught you was nonsense, if you can't trust the people that quote unquote love you, how can you go out into the world and trust? You understand what I'm saying? I'm telling you, man, it's painful.
Coach and Gaddy, how old were you guys? Ish.
My bad, wrong button. Man. So I would say I probably began truly understanding, because I thought I knew purpose at a young age, but I started truly starting to understand purpose. I would say probably like 6-7 years ago, but then it started becoming clearer to me. I'm with Roland probably like the last couple of years, maybe 2-3 years. And for me, I think the path is different, because like Roland, I think this kind of leads into answering the question too. I think the path is I don't want to use the reason, but the reason why I went there is because for me, I think a lot of people try to, some people look at purpose from a monetary standpoint. Am I supposed to be a business owner? Am I supposed to be a CEO? Am I supposed to be a doctor? What profession am I supposed to be in? And then you live your life chasing that as if that's purpose. And then you get to a place to say, no, I'm supposed to be married to this type of woman because we're gonna raise these type of kids. And you get into that marriage, and it blows up like a bombshell. Now, okay, that's not purpose. That's just a desire. So we go through these changes of our ideas of what purpose is, and then it's like, bam, what is not just what my impact is into the world, but what is my impact in the truth of what the Father is revealing. Because I think that's where it really started opening up to me, where it was like, oh, see, there's information that we have, and then there's truth. And that guidance, I'm with Chris when he talks about the hard part is about not having a guide at that moment, or having that. And I say this without the fear of contradiction. I really know where I got that from, but I would say me and Roland probably, and getting clarity on purpose and what purpose is, and what our purpose may be uh, headed towards or directed towards. It caused us to move away from a person that we saw as a guide, that we saw as a quote unquote father figure that we can reach out and call for assistance, for help, for direction. But we had to break from that. I had to break from that in order to say this is the path of understanding, the path of scales being removed from my eyes, of seeing truth, of seeing my purpose, but not just in the carnal sense, but seeing my purpose in the Father. And so now everything that I thought I built myself up to be, even in church for the last 11 years, is null and void, because I have to now re-understand and relearn everything that the Father wanted us to see. But it was a good place for me, because I stopped leaning on someone else to show me where to go and where to search for truth.
I want to steer back to the question because I think we kind of got off topic a little bit. So, and I'm gonna try to rope both of them into one. Um, for me, I would say 10 years ago. Um, but I'm not saying that that idea was complete. I started to get a notion of what my purpose was 10 years ago. That caused a lot of the frustration and pain that you heard Chris talk about. How would I describe a man's journey toward discovering their purpose? Confusing. It is probably one of the most confusing journeys you'll ever go on, as of what I said earlier. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody wants to tell you what a real man is. Everybody wants this. Everybody wants that. I literally watched a TikTok video earlier today to where they got married, and within 30 days they were arguing because she wanted her name over everything. And then at the end, she told him that a real man would have already done this by now. Like it is probably one of the most frustrating spaces to be in, because ideally, outside of God the Father himself, no man can tell you what a real man is. The men who I know are still learning how to be men. I don't care how old they are. Like we're still learning to be men. We're coming into the fullness of, and there is not a woman alive that can tell me what a real man is. So for me, I have to say that it is probably one of the most discovering yet rewarding journeys that you'll ever go on. Because once you get clarity, there is no moving you off your square. You can put your foot in the sand, and you can, I mean, I just I can't describe it. So that's how I would describe it. So your question, Uncle Junior, I was 40, right? 39, 40 years old. But I will tell you, I tell you out offline. But it caused, like Lisa said, it caused a loss. And I knew that I was going to lose a thing because of what I was learning here. But it was a necessity for me to lose it in order to gain the other things on the other side. So I think that's it in a nutshell. Um, let's grab some of these comments from the chat. Listen, if you're listening to this conversation right now and you're listening to how pure and authentic these gentlemen are being, go ahead and hit the like button. Like we're about to kind of peel the skin back on this onion real quick. Michelle has a question. Her question is, how do influencers and positive vessels help others that doesn't understand the meaning of purpose?
Well, if they're a positive vessel, then the first thing that they'll do is help you understand the meaning of purpose before they even tell you to go in the direction of finding it. You need to understand what it is and the responsibility that it comes with. That's where I would start. Everything else is extra. Everything else is the cherry on top. But if he or she is really positive, then that's where they will start. All right, you want to know about purpose? Do you really know what it is? Do you really understand the responsibility of it? And then they'll break that down. And then after that, because I believe that right there is rock bottom, understanding what it is. And then after that, you can build. That's the foundation. Understand what purpose is, period. Not your purpose. What is purpose? You understand what I'm saying?
So I don't really think, for the most part, you can help somebody that don't want to be helped. And I guess, like, we can come on platforms and we can talk and we can be positive men. We can talk all the good things. We can lead by example. But if someone, is not ready to jump into that space, or they can't kind of sort of get it for themselves. Like, for me, it just, I don't know. I didn't grow up learning about purpose. I was in my early 40s as well. You know what I mean? And unlike y'all, mine was fulfilling. I guess maybe that was like the end result, but I looked at it as like I wrote down a fulfillment through consistent exploration. Like, I was constantly exploring new different things all the time. You know what I mean? So for me, it wasn't like painful. It was a lot of confusion in there because I was getting exposed to new information. And it was, like Chris said, it was sometimes contradicting with old information. So, but I think with influence and positive vessels and stuff like that, you know what I mean? I think that, we can put it out there. And I think if nothing else, you can't, like I said, you can't really make somebody or want something or help somebody that don't want to help themselves. But I think at the same time, influencers and positive vessels can just keep doing what they're doing, keep leading by examples, and keep spitting out valuable, positive information, and stuff like that. I really think that that's really all you can do.
I'm with Unc right there. You, as an influencer, I hate that term. I do. I really do, because you have a lot of influencers who influence people in negative ways, or just to be materialistic, or whatever. But that's a word term that we use nowadays. Now, when we talk about positive vessels, if you are me being myself consistently, as Unc just said, I got to be me consistent. I can't sit up there and over here I'm this person, and then I move over here and I'm that person. That's why I tend to choose where I will be doing all this. If I'm talking over here and y'all talking all this raunchy stuff, I can't be over here and now I'm righteous. Raunchy and righteous don't go together. I don't care what t-shirt you put it on, it just don't work. So being consistent allows people to see me in the light. So whether they're ready or not, they remember. So they remember, like, man, whenever that pressure comes on them, they say, I can count on that dude to be this, because that's what he is. That's who he is. And some people rather live a fake life. And I think that's where we've come to this society where I can be one way on the internet and I'm all this and I'm happy go lucky and yada yada, but I'm miserable. And I used to be like that. I was miserable. I was that person who I make people laugh, make people smile, but I'm going home sitting in the car like, I just want to just, go to sleep. And that's where a lot of people are, because they living in a fantasy land and not in reality. But helping others doesn't mean that I have to take you by the hand. It means I got to be consistent so people can see that in me, that's what they get. So they know if you come to me with some bull crap, I'm gonna call you out on your bull. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna sit up there and skirt around it. I'm gonna call it what it is, and then we gonna deal with it. And that I think that's a good way for me to help.
Man, if I could, I'll reach over here and give you a high five right now. That was pretty good.
Oh yeah.
And coach, can you really give somebody a an understanding, a meaning of something like this that's so personal? Like, I don't want to jump individual, but like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you explain something that's so personal to someone? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, everybody up here tried to attempt it, trying to explain it, and no one could really put it into words.
yeah. Let me let this brother go first, and then
Yeah.
I'd be more than happy to answer that.
Yeah.
So I to be honest with you, I might as well just yield, because that's kind of where I was going with it, because that was going to be my answer. I don't think an influencer or even a positive vessel can truly give you the meaning of purpose, because and I was just what coach pointed out, every brother on here has shared how it was a road that had to be traveled alone. Like, that's why we all use the word pain and loneliness, because he had to be traveled alone. The best thing you can do, if you love me, or you care about me, or your friend or brother, I call you whatever, the best thing you can do is just have my back, be my support, hold me down while I'm on that road, if you know I'm there. Because some people don't. We I think the idea of having a definition of purpose, right, is so obscured, is because that everyone tries to put it into a box, but it's always in a box depending on what they think someone's purpose should be. It's never really, it's a platform. This is purpose. It's always, yeah, when you grew up, you used to always be told, hey, the spirit is on you. You called to preach. Spirit can be on you and do something other than preach. Not everybody that look good and dress good should be in the pulpit, or in the choir stand, or whatever the case may be. But that's how we always try to explain it. So I don't think they can. My bad. Go ahead.
No, you good. So I really like this question for a couple of reasons. Number one, I want to point out the word understand. I can't give you understanding. It is virtually impossible for me to give you understanding. The Bible talks about three things: knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Um, so when you look at knowledge, um, knowledge is the accumulation of truth. Um, Understanding is the assimilation of truth, and wisdom is the application of truth. So I can't help. I can. I'm not the person in the short amount of time that I have, the one to give you understanding, but I can help you with knowledge. And that being said, one of the first things I will help you to understand is that we all have a unified purpose. Everybody has the same purpose, and it's written in black and white. All we got to do is go read it. So the first thing I would do for a person who wants me to help him, and I think that's the key, is to sit down with them and open the book and show them where it's found, where it tells us what we're supposed to do. Right? You'll find that in the book of Ecclesiastes. You'll find it also in the book of Romans. I think Michelle put it up there earlier. Right. So, and that's one of my favorite scriptures, Romans 12:2. So that kind of helps us to understand that we are all here to prove God's will, right? So we need to understand that that is our unified purpose. Now, that sounds great, but the key is the calling. The calling is the one that I can't help you with, because that is only found in relationship. So that's the thing that you have to consistently push in the direction of. And if you're doing the unified purpose, you don't have no choice, because that's really what it is. It is to continue to develop your relationship with the Most High so that you can get to the point of hearing what your actual calling is. So I love that. I love this question, because that question really makes you think deep into how you can help another person. And I went rolling, absolutely. I'm pointing the wrong side again. I went rolling, absolutely. That my character, the way I carry myself, my behavior is that thing. And what you'll see is through me, you'll see fruit, and the fruit is the thing that should draw you near. And that is what gives me the opportunity to be a helping vessel. Roland, it looked like you was about to chime in, bro. No? Okay. So I hope we answered your question, Michelle, but that's a great question. Thank you for that. I think we kind of got all the other comments or statements. Did I miss any? No? Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next question. Okay. In what ways can lacking a sense of purpose exacerbate the other challenges men face, such as mental health struggles, difficulties in relationships, or simply feeling fulfilled?
And whew, in every way almost. Like if we be honest, I think all of us just really just did like a quick flashback to how many relationships we ruined not knowing who we were, being lost inwardly, how many uh bad decisions we made because we really wasn't focused. Because man, I put like this: being in that place, trying to figure out purpose, or trying to find self, however you word it, is like being almost in like a haze for a period of time. It's like you're just moving, you're just traveling. You're not really living because you don't know. And so for men, when it comes to mental health, it gets that moment of realization that I don't know who I am and I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, or what who I'm supposed to be. It worsens that. If you deal with depression, that depression just got worse. If you in a relationship, that relationship just got, because now I really don't have anything to pour into you because that feeling just drained me. Maybe I'm the only one that felt that way, but it's draining sometimes when you just sit down and like, what am I supposed to do? Because I don't even know how to handle this situation no more, because the person that I thought I was supposed to be was going to handle it like this, but the person that I'm trying to be, I don't know how they would handle it. So I'm just gonna punch you in the mouth. Like, but now I just created another bad situation. I know, man, my bad. That's just how I've always. I I I, I didn't learn a lot of conflict resolution growing up.
That's
You
the
ain't got
conflict resolution, I guess. Punch them in the
Hey,
face.
for real.
just be a tag team on WWE or whatever.
Right? Maybe that was my purpose. Nah, but you know, you get it. That's how I can explain that period. It's like you're in the haze, and so I don't know how to communicate to you in relationship where I'm at and why I'm feeling what I'm feeling, or how I'm going to fix it. What we gonna do about it? I don't know. And so that relationship goes because you know how some women, I don't want a man that don't know what he wants. Well, I knew what I wanted at 20, but at 38, I don't know what I want. I want something different, and I don't know what that looks like because I've never been the person that I'm becoming.
When I look when I look at this, I want to hit on the difficulties in relationships piece of this. I think when some men haven't found their purpose, I think that sometimes there's an identity issue in there, because they don't know who they are. And sometimes if they don't know who they are, that's when sometimes ego, some of us up here have been in the military, and some of us were tied to that uniform, to the army, to those stripes, to our positions. But that might not necessarily been who we were, not necessarily our identity. A lot of our identity was tied to the military, at least for me, some. So when I got out and had to find a different identity, I didn't really know who I was. So I think when you don't have the identity, you don't know who you are as a person because you haven't found your purpose. You bring that into the relationship, so now you're bringing sometimes ego that comes along with this identity that you have been identifying with for so long, and now it's causing problems in a relationship. So I think, you know when men sometimes don't have their identity, it causes problems in the relationships because they don't really know who they are. And because they don't necessarily know who they are, they may have problems trying to lead, trying to have conversations, all of these different things. So that's kind of sort of what I wanted to say about it. The identity piece.
It's like fighting an internal civil war between the person you were and the person you are trying to be. That is what it does. And it is a constant fight between the person you were and the person you are trying to be. And if you lack purpose in any of that, the person you were is always going to win. And then that's when the unfulfilling feeling comes into play, because you know you can do more. That's when you start having anxiety and being depressed, because you know you're capable of doing more, but you keep letting the ego win. It Lack of purpose affects all three of those things.
I had to write mine down because I know these brothers. I'm old, man. I got to write stuff down and say professional liars, because that's what you actually become. You become a professional liar, and not that you getting it monetarily, but everything that you're working for now is exactly what these brothers just said. So now, when it comes to relationships, since I'm acting the part, I don't know what it's about. I don't know how to do it, but I've seen other people do it. So now I become a womanizer because okay, I like this person, I like that person, I'm supposed to love her, and then somebody say, "Oh, when y'all getting married?" So no, boom, now we walking down the aisle. When it comes to my job, they said I was a sergeant, so now I'm playing that part. You're playing all these parts and putting on all these different hats, yet you don't know your purpose because you don't really know who you are. So when the anxiety comes, when the depression comes, now you got to act this part and act that part. You're pleasing other people. So now you're just piling things on yourself and becoming less and less in your purpose, more and more what you shouldn't be. And you're discouraged. You are in a state of where I just want to give up simply because I don't know who I am. Because one, I'm reading all these books, but you didn't read the book, because the book will tell you who you should be. It should tell you how you should act, how you should treat people. But you're reading everything else. You're calling these people. You're looking at your horoscopes, and you're doing all these things that telling you how your personality should be. So you gauging yourself from a worldly perspective of how you should be as a spirit person. But you're saying, okay, well, this ain't marrying up. Well, it should marry up because you done made a pot of gumbo when all you were trying to make was a ham sandwich. Shouldn't be eating ham anyway; it's bad for you. But so I say we are becoming professional liars, and we're only lying to ourselves. Which means when you lie to yourself, you tend to it's your reality, but it's a lie to everybody else also.
Did everybody go? I think okay. I thought I was waiting on Gaddy. I thought Gaddy still had to go. My bad. Um, you know what? I'm with both of you. Like, whatever. I'm with both Roland and Garfield on this one, man. I am an advocate of the identity thing because I think for the most part, every problem that we have in our life is just a reflection of an identity crisis that we have. But we have an identity crisis simply because we don't know who we are, like Roland was saying. And I mean, I'm perfectly in line with that one. I would say, and I'm gonna describe it just a little different. It's going to be the same. I'm just going to describe it differently. I would say no one knows who you are. No one knows exactly who you are because, like Roland said, you're a professional liar. But I also would say that you're a professional actor. You act in a space of relationship. You act like everything is okay when it's not okay. You act like you got it all together when lo and behold, you don't. You probably got bills jumping out the back door into the trash can, but you showing the best version of you on Instagram, Facebook, all this other great stuff. And when you go outside, you dress, you got what they say, you got about 3-4 millionaires. That ain't what baby boy say. You got about 3-4 millionaires on, bro, but nobody knows who you are. That's the thing that I really believe happens. You have an identity crisis. You are hiding behind a mask because you don't want to reveal the real you. Because if a person learns who you are, then the problem is you actually think they might be bold enough to be honest with you. That's what actually happens. It's not a bad thing though. I want to make because we feel it as though it's bad, and I want to make sure I'm saying that it's not bad. We just feel like it's bad. At some point, you're gonna have to take the mask off. You're gonna have to be vulnerable to somebody so that they can help you overcome the thing that you're dealing with. That's what I really do believe is true. As always, Brother Barrel comes with the knowledge. Brother Barrel says it's a lonely road to find your purpose. Many people will lead you away from your goal and purpose, but it takes discipline to find your way to live in a purposeful life. How do you guys feel about his comment?
It's true. It is true. It is lonely. It is stressful, and it is painful. It is. And it does take discipline to find your way. But it's not the discipline to continue move. It's the discipline to continue moving forward, but it's also the discipline of discernment. You understand what I'm saying? It's the discipline of discernment to understand that there are going to be people that come into your life to deter you, but there are also going to be people that come into your life that will help you. It is
I
true.
say yes and no. I had a great support system while I was going through my transition and didn't even know it. You know what I mean? Even a couple of years ago, I was connecting with people that I didn't even know. And I think part of me going through my purpose is what attracted those people to me and me to them. You know what I mean? I don't think it's by happenstance that me and Chris met in a chat room. Not them old school chat rooms, but we met on a similar platform. You know what I'm saying? To clarify. Cause we are over the age of 30. Um so but yes, so yes, but at the same time, finding your purpose, it is lonely because no one understands it except for you. And initially, I didn't even know that I was actually kind of going through the process. You know what I mean? It wasn't until I kind of started reading something or start sharing certain information with people in my circle. They said, "Oh yeah, bro, you probably going through your purpose. You're probably about to figure things out." And eventually I would. But I would say that honestly, yes, it is individually it can be a lonely road because you have to go through the process yourself. No one can go through finding your purpose for you except for you. You know what I'm saying? So it is lonely, but it's
You know when
so
it oh,
fulfilling at the end though. That's why it's fulfilling at the end, man. It's like,
you know when it's lonely? It's lonely when you don't know you because you're not comfortable with self.
yes.
That's the lonely part. When I don't know who I am, I
Yep.
don't know what I want, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like when I first got out of the military, I was going crazy. I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do? And then I found myself, I'm going to the movies by myself. I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna go take myself on little dates. I'm going to lunch. I used to just sit up in Chick-fil-A or somewhere, drink a coffee and eat something and read or do whatever because I had to learn how to be by myself. Because when you learn how to be with yourself, I ain't worried about nobody else. Whether you with me or you with me, I'm with me and I know he's with me, so I'm comfortable. So when you get that comfortable, like he says, it's a lonely word finding your purpose. Yet your purpose is in finding you. And then to say many people will lead you away from your goal. Yes, when they lead you away from your goal because you lost sight of finding you. And because you already know if I'm saying I'm trying to be a football player and you saying, okay, let's go to the club. It's Saturday morning. No. It's Friday night. I ain't Saturday morning. I got to get up and do this. So now you're taking me away from my goal. You're taking me away from everything that I say I'm trying to do. And then we become that word hypocrite, however you want to phrase it. It's whether you're talking Latin, whether you're talking Greek, or however you phrase it. It's not a fake person. It's like that old saying, we're all actors on the stage. See, we all act a certain part. And a lot of people act this and they act that. Not that they're being fake, but they don't necessarily know who they are. So they're giving you the portions of them that they found people like. So if they like me this way, I will act like that. And you do the same thing with people. They like it when I do this. They like it when I do that because you haven't found yourself. But when you start to find yourself and say, man, I'm cool being alone. I'm cool solo. That's when you start to say, man, I'm finding my purpose. And you realize that my purpose ain't my job. My purpose isn't to do this. Uh, I can be myself and pour into other people what I am or who I am, not what I do.
I'm going to go a different route. It is a lonely road. And it's lonely because when you start finding your purpose, people fall off. And you find yourself alone because the people that you were with you before you started actually diving into you can't come with you. So it's lonely. It is. And the people that will lead you away, yes, you may fall off, but then you come to the realization that I'm falling off. You can't come with me either. And I got to travel alone. It is lonely. That's where I have been for the past couple of years. It is lonely because the people that I thought were here for me were not.
But guess the reason why? It's because you have elevated, right? So those people who you were friends with or whatever, they were friends with the other Chris. That's who y'all became friends with. Old Chris and that person. So now there's a new Chris or an upgraded Chris. You know what I mean? And you're like, I ain't really feeling this Chris 2.0. I like the old Chris where we can go hang out and drink and smoke and do all the other things. That's the Chris that formed the bond that they formed a bond with. And now that Chris is like y'all was talking about shedding the old you, that's the person that they're friends with, not this person. They don't want this. They don't want to be with people like you. They
So
ain't attracted to this Chris.
that's
But
prune.
see, that's what I'm talking about. You lose people. You understand what I'm saying? It is a lonely feeling losing people that you thought cared about you or that you cared about because you're up here now and they're down here. A lot of men have not learned how to cope with that aspect of it. You understand what I'm saying? That's where I am coming from.
I,
Then you get new people.
Right. And then you get new people, and then that
Yeah.
feeling starts to go away. But until you get to getting to those new people, you still feel like, yes, I know the divine creator is with me.
I ain't even talking
But
about that. I'm
hold
saying
on, wait. I wasn't done. I know the divine creator is with me, but I have nothing tangible. You understand what I'm saying? I can't reach out and touch anybody anymore because those people that I used to reach out and touch are not where are not the type of people that I can bring up here. So yeah, it is a lonely feeling. You understand what I'm saying? Like it like that aspect of it. It's lonely.
You muted, brother.
Flash said it's lonely at the top, but no, no. But and I understand what you're saying. It's lonely because you're by yourself. But that's where I think I look at as what you guys are describing as pruning. It's just like pruning, and just like a woman's cycle, it's the lining being taken away. It hurts. There's a pain there when she has her cycle, and that's why she has cramps. She has cramps and everything
I
because
grew
the
up around
lining.
women, so I understand where he's coming from.
Right,
I
right. So she
understand
has
where
the
he's coming
cramps and
from.
hurt and
I I
everything
I, I
because
get the analogy.
it's necessary that part of her leaves her body. Just like it's necessary that some people that that was my dog, that was my family, that was whatever, but they can't go where I'm going because I'm trying to move higher. They trying to eat off the ground. I'm trying to eat in the sky. So we have to move. So I understand the loneliness part because of the relational issues that
Right.
may happen.
That's what I'm saying. Like you lose it.
But see, I'm looking at it in a like I lost that, but I gained this because I'm learning who I am and who I am. I don't need that. I don't need to smoke. I don't need to drink. I don't need to cuss. I don't need. I mean, it's all about me learning me. So if I can gain me, excuse my French, what the hell with them?
That's why I talk so much about equivalent exchange. There is no gain without sacrifice. You understand what I'm saying? So I understand the sacrifice part of it, but it still hurts and it's still lonely when you do it. It's just necessary to do. You understand what I'm saying?
I think because I can relate to all this, by the way. Even being raised in a house full of women, I can relate to all that. I was just surprised you used that one, but I'm with you. Um, I think if I can kind of spin this a different direction, from a relationship standpoint, sure, it is lonely because of a loss. And I'm agreeing with Roland. I look at it as pruning as well. And I can't gain this if I try to hold on to this. That's the thing. That's why we prune plants because we need to cut off the dead weight. Not that any person is dead weight. I want to make sure that I'm saying it that way. However, I look at it from the perspective of the thing that I'm pruning is not anyone else, it's me. I think when we're completely honest with ourselves and we understand what we're learning in the lines of the scripture, the thing that is being pruned is me. The thing that actually gets that's supposed to die is me. I am supposed to die to myself. When this here dies to myself, then I realize who I really am. No other person is a bad person because I gave them access to me. That's the thing. That's the first thing that I have to realize. So the art of demonizing people is the worst thing that we have ever done, and we have gotten so good at it that it's normalized. That is the worst thing for us to do because me talking about you is literally talking about myself, and I don't even and we don't realize that. The thing that has to die, I'm gonna say it again. The thing that has to die is me. If we don't get anything else from this conversation, the sacrifice is me. He did it, and I am supposed to look at him as my example. Well, he sacrificed himself. Well, if he sacrificed himself, now that's my turn. And what am I sacrificing myself for? So I can gain him. That's why. So you don't gain without sacrificing. The problem is that a lot of us are still stuck in our adolescent years. We want everything without giving up anything. And so that's it. Like I'm telling you, just take a step back. Don't talk, just listen. And when you look around, you'll see everybody want gimme, 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 gimme. Well, what like Chris said, what is the exchange? There is no exchange. I'm not going to give up anything. I just want you to give me all your wares. What? No, it doesn't work that way. And so if we look in our own internal psyche, like in some degree we have that. And our job is to find it and root it out. That's the reason for the consecration. We consecrate ourselves, we sit in isolation so that we can sit with thought. When we sit with thought, we reflect, then we understand. And it doesn't matter about the 95% over here. I keep saying this. The only thing I need to concern myself is with my 5%. Let me make this 5% better. What is the thing that moved me to this 5%? What do I need to do now? How do I do this? So forth and so on. Who do I need to connect with to learn techniques to teach me how to do this? That's where we're supposed to be. And I love the fact that this young man at his age, and I think Cassandra put his age in the chat a few minutes ago, at his age is asking questions like this. That's the main reason why I want to bring this to the topic. Because imagine if you guys were his age and you was thinking like that, come on, man. Come on, man.
He is in a great position.
Yeah.
But understand this. Coach said it, Roland said it, everybody up here said it. But I'm going to break it down according to natural law. Humankind cannot gain anything without first sacrificing something in return. To obtain anything, something of equal value must be lost. That is the natural law of equivalent exchange. Everybody up here talked about it. You want purpose, you're going to have to lose some things. But the gain is going to be much greater. I'll shut up now.
Nope, you're good. You're good. Okay. We got another question, and then we're going to continue with ours. Let's see. Where's the other question at? There we go. Okay. For my military brothers, did the military contribute to the discord of y'all mental health? And for Chris, what did you encounter?
As far as I need to know what you mean, because I can understand the military aspect of it, because most of my family is military, law enforcement, and emergency services. So I know the toll that can take on the mental. But I don't have any of those experiences. I just have the experience of, like I said, people that I thought loved me telling me something that was complete nonsense and having to unlearn it. And that includes family, especially immediate family. So the removal of myself from and you know what, that sucks so much, to have to remove yourself from your immediate family to figure out what you are supposed to do, because the people in your immediate family are telling you what you should do according to what they think, instead of asking you what you think you should do and letting you work it out. So I guess the component of having to get away from the people that claim that they love me to do this has impacted my mental health in ways I don't think anybody understands or would be able to make it through. Listen, man, I'm a tough dude. And that's not me tooting my horn. I'm a tough dude. You understand what I'm saying? To have to pull yourself away from the people that you love because you know they teaching you nonsense and you learning something else, that takes strength and it takes discipline. But it sucks a lot. You understand what I'm saying? So I guess that's what I encountered.
I think for me, I think sometimes you grow up in an environment where you don't realize that certain things aren't normal. So things of family member, with death and murder and drug usage and all that type of stuff, when you grow up around it, it's normalized. And like for me, running from that was me running to the military. So when I ran into the military, it just exacerbated, since they wanted to use that word earlier. Uh,
That's
my
the SAT word for the evening.
Yeah, they wanted to use that word. So it just did that with my problems in the military structure, and then going to war back and forth and seeing certain things. It takes a toll on you. But I think I was built for the bullets flying and all that other stuff. I was built for that because I came from that in a different environment. I didn't have the protections that I had in the military, but it was one of those things that, yeah, it contributed to me being kind of dysfunctional when it came to discussing my feelings, talking about feelings or whatever. I bottled it up. And as you bottle those things up, it's like you take a pop bottle and shake it up, it's going to come out eventually. And when you open it, it's going to be wherever. So those are things that we as men have to work through. And the more I would talk about those things, like even these settings are therapeutic for me because I get to discuss things that I've gone through. I get to discuss hurts. I get to discuss damage. So yes, the military did uh, exacerbate those issues, and also my upbringing as well. Because when you have family members and that you're running away from, because I don't want to put anyone's business out there, but you're running away from things that hurt you, and those hurts, they don't go away. You just put them in your back pocket, and then they show their face later.
I wouldn't phrase it as running away. You understand what I wouldn't do that, because what you described is where I am. But it's not running away per se. So I guess my experience in the military experience would be kind of similar, because the military gave y'all that, and I am, as a civilian, still bottling up how I feel and still bottling up these things that I have in my gut, because I've been told all my life that it doesn't matter. You understand what I'm saying? So I guess it's kind of the same, but I wouldn't phrase it as running away. I would phrase it as understanding that it's not normal and leaving it, if that makes any sense.
Man, for me, I don't think it manifested itself until I left active duty. Because being surrounded by the military setting kind of always had me in this prepare my mental for combat readiness. Even when we was in garrison, right? Everything we did, I approached it with the approach of, hey, we got to be mentally tough enough for combat, right? That's in everything. But separating from the military is when it really clicked in, right? So being deployed, being under attack, y'all know how it is, having to wake up 2 o'clock in the morning with nothing on but your IOTV and your undergarments and running to the bunker, right? Uh, being walking the streets downrange, and V-bed just goes off a block away. Boom, you could feel it shake. Uh, actually being on ground and being blown up. Personally, right? I became easily startled. I don't like noise. I don't like anything I can't predict going on behind me. I don't sit in restaurants unless my back's against them. Like, these are things that kind of developed. But then when I got out the military, it got worse for me. Like, that was just me becoming more watchful and having to see my surrounding. But to be around people who don't have those same experiences, and they have a total disregard for how I feel when they come behind me and start clapping and touching my neck with cold stuff and get mad because I almost throw a chair. Like, don't do that, especially after I express it 1,000 times. And so people that are not connected to the military and don't have and I'm using this word loosely, don't have an appreciation for the things that we have to deal with when you have to go down range, and they just pretty much give you that, well, get over it. Well, you'll get over it. You'll get used to it. No, I won't get used to it. You're gonna get used to getting tossed over the counter because my nerves are bad. But you laugh at me, bro. But I'll be dead. And sometimes I want to do it on purpose because I tell you 100 times and you still go behind me. But I'm the one that's expected to understand that they don't understand. But I'm the one who has to sit at my desk tense like this for 8 hours all day, and then got to go see a chiropractor because my back is messed up because I'm tensed 100% of the time outside this house because people have expressed they don't care and they won't be careful with what they do, and they don't care that it sets you. So that, to me, for me, it gets worse. It got worse coming out of the military because those are things that I really didn't have to deal with. The first time someone saw me jump after we got back from Iraq, it was widespread throughout the. Hey, yo, y'all chill from behind Gaddy. he he ain't screwed too tight. You know what I mean? Not that I ever did anything to anybody, but those who knew, and it was just common respect for one another. So that's my experience to it.
I think it's a good question. Um, However, there's a part of it that I'm I don't necessarily embody or embrace, and that is the discord of y'all mental health. I'm not willing to say or embrace the fact of the discord of y'all mental health. However, I know exactly what she means. Um, in the midst of that, Chris kind of his response a few seconds ago was kind of like what I was going to say. I think what the military and civilian life has is the same thing, just in different. It just looks different. I will also add to it um, that the military, even though there's some goodness that came from it, there's also some long lasting effects that came from it as well. Gaddy kind of talked about some of them. However, what the military did do in the beginning is it stripped you of all of those conditionings that you had before joining the military. And so you were conditioned to a way of life. You learned a thing. You learned how to operate as a team. You learned how to understand what code of ethics look like. And then you embodied those ethics. And then you started moving and doing things the way that they prescribed. So to your original question, I would have to say, to a certain degree, not necessarily the discord, right? Not the discord of your mental health, but I will say that civilian life and military life looks similar, but the way that they went about doing it was slightly different. So a great question, and again, I hope our answers serve your question well. Let's move on to the next question that we have on slate, so we can close this out. Um, our next question. Okay. Are traditional rites of passage that guided men towards their roles and purposes in society still relevant today? Not just a simple answer. Go.
Do we even have rites of passage nowadays?
That depends on the family you're talking to.
Like on if we're asking, are you asking this on a general phrase, or are you just asking it? Because generally, I don't anecdotally, I don't see us having a rite of passage. I was told 18 and a day, you a man. And the man that told me that didn't teach me a single thing about being a man, didn't teach me a single thing about the responsibilities that come with it, didn't even facilitate the role in his own actions. He just said 18 and a day, figure it out. So anecdotally, we don't have rites of passage. We don't.
So unless someone can like give me an example, I don't really know of any traditional rites of passage. At least I didn't experience them growing up. You know, I've seen them on the outside. I've read about them in books and different things like that. But actually growing up and saying, "Hey, look, here's a rite of passage," and you go through it, I haven't seen that. My wife, on the other hand, when they turn a certain age, they have a big ceremony that's for a couple of days, blah blah blah. One thing that I can kind of think of, you know, as I saw this question was, it's something very simple. But remember when we were growing up, like when you learn how to tie the tie, like it was kind of a good thing. At least it was for me. When I actually learned how to tie a tie, there was something. You know, I kind of felt a little older, kind of felt a little bit more mature, whatever like that. But you know what I mean? That was it. But like nowadays, like I think I didn't teach my sons how to tie a tie. You know what I mean? I they don't know how to tie ties. Like I didn't do that. So I would say, you know, kind of sorta, you know, if I want to look at that as a rite of passage on a small scale, then I would, you know, to this question, then I would say that these roles, um, a lot of these things are not relevant today.
So to clear up the question, I put in the chat. I said jokingly, but I'm serious. It's like Cliff and Theo carving the Thanksgiving turkey. Like dad is the only person that did these things, or the man of the family is the only one who did these things. And once you got of age, that man taught you how to do it so he could pass it on to you.
I never had that. Like I said, the dude that was supposed to facilitate that role didn't. 18 in a day, figure it out.
I think we've been separated from our culture so long that we didn't necessarily have those rites of passage where it would have said, okay, you are now a man. Not meaning that you grown. I'm with Chris, 18 in a day, got to find your own way. But I was out at 14. So it really didn't matter because those people that were responsible should have been responsible for teaching us weren't necessarily impactful in our lives in that arena.
I think my brothers kind of just showed in their own way the answer, right? And not because they shouldn't be, not because they weren't good for the community, the culture, for the young man becoming a man, right? But because of everything that's just been expressed, right? Uh, we have an overwhelming lack of male presence. So who's giving that rites of passage? All right. A hockey player can't give a basketball player a rites of passage into the NBA, right? No, you ain't played. So who's giving that to them? A lot of these things, learning how to start working on the car with your father. Like the culture of today, as well as what's been expressed, but also the culture of today, it is not really. If I take my sons outside and show them how to change the oil filter, right? And I put that on social media, right? My fault, first of all, for putting it on social media and not expecting a response. But if I put that on social media, what's the response? Well, you need to take them girls out there too. I didn't say I wasn't. I'm just sharing that this is a moment with me and my sons, pulling them aside, teaching them first, teaching them how to do things. I want my girls to learn how to, you know, change their tire or change out their tire, do the stuff that they need to know, emergency stuff. But I want my boys to be able to have to do to be able to do some of the mechanical stuff I learned later in life. I didn't have a car, you know, but that idea of taking something aside for a boy is actually it's extremely demonized. It's not widely accepted. So when we start talking about in society rejects it as a whole, not our circle, not our community here that gets on the empowering perspective in the empowering perspective community, but our society as a whole, they reject the idea. And when you do stuff like that, it's kind of it's looked at as if you're hyper masculine, or oh, he's going to be a chauvinist. Oh, we got to get rid of the patriarchy because this is not acceptable. That's that's my take.
Nope, I agree with you 100%. And I often wonder, is that part of the reason why it takes some people so long to get to the point of understanding purpose and
Yes.
getting to their calling? Yeah, that's my take. I
And I
believe.
didn't and I didn't do it and I didn't do it like that to get a laugh. I did
Nope.
it like that because that's my life right now.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying? You are looking at the embodiment of that exact statement. And it sucks. Be- Never mind. Never mind. I was about to go down a rabbit hole, and I do not think we have the time to do it.
I appreciate you being honest with us, brother. And I appreciate everybody for being honest. We appreciate everybody who joined us this evening. Again, if you have not liked this show, go ahead and like the show. I put in the chat earlier that there is a free gift on YouTube at the top of the chat. So, again, if you have not taken advantage of that free gift, go ahead. I promise you it is free. I'm not making that up. But as always, this brings us to the end of our show and that bittersweet moment. And that's the moment to where we go into our final thoughts. That being said, we are going to start off in this conversation with our young brother Chris, and then we'll just continue going from that point on. So, Chris, sir, you have the floor.
My final thought is actually, you know what? I don't even know if I have a final thought because most of my final thought has been things that I've been saying all through the show. Purpose, finding your purpose is necessary. Getting people around you that'll actually guide you to understanding what purpose is necessary. And as Christian said earlier, it is lonely and people will try to deter you, and it takes discipline. If you do not take anything from this show, take this. And I said it earlier, and I am going to repeat it. Humankind cannot gain anything without first sacrificing something in return. To obtain anything, something of equal value must be lost. In other words, if you want something, you are going to have to remove what is in its way. Sometimes finding your purpose will lead to you removing things that are in its way, and it is going to suck. I really want to beat that in because people think that this is something easy, and it is not. It's just simple. Understand that there is no gain without sacrifice, and two things cannot occupy the same space at the same time. That's my final thought.
My final thought is this: the journey to find your purpose can be very challenging and is full of many things, emotions, relationships, all the things, because life doesn't stop just because you're going through your purpose. If you are a man out there or someone out there who's trying to find their purpose, once you realize it and you get to that point, what I would say is embrace it, because it can be a long one, it can be stressful, it can be fun, it can be very exploratory. There are a lot of different words that you can fill in that will fit the narrative of what men go through or what people go through when they're trying to find their purpose. So I say that if you've already been through your purpose, extend a hand and help support someone through theirs. Offer some guidance or some information or even just a conversation. And if you are not, or if you're going through it, embrace it. You know what I mean? Once I realized that I was in my purpose, a lot of some of the things that Chris talked about earlier, they kind of went away because now that I know what I'm dealing with, now I know how to approach it. Yes, some things are going to be challenging, but I'm just like, look, this is temporary. This is just a stage in my life, just like learning how to walk or learning how to read or anything else. And eventually I'm going to get over it. But what can I learn and what information can I take away from while I'm going through my purpose? So that's my final thought.
Yeah, I think one thing we have to do is accept the idea that life is a continuous rotation of transitions. Every time you think you done figured it out, there's a transition. Every time you think you've gotten comfortable, there's a transition, and that's life, right? Even in the corporate, you might have found the career you like, but after 5, 10 years, you don't want to still be where you are. Now you transitioning. You're trying to get to a new hat. And then when you get there and you want to move again, all right, and maybe I gotta go back to school. Maybe I gotta study for these certifications, but I ain't been to school. And in 15 years I've been in this in this field, right? Life is full of transition. So the first thing I think we have to do is accept that what your purpose, you feel like your purpose is today, you may not feel like that in the next 5 to 10 years. It may evolve or it may change, or you may have greater clarity on what it's supposed to look like. And so that transition period comes often. And to be honest with you, when you are expecting the most high to bring this thing into full circle, it kind of gets a little more exciting after a while. It's no longer a burden. It's what does he have lined up for me next? Because it's always reward at the end. Of course, we have to sacrifice through it. But I say go through it through the lens of understanding what Ecclesiastes 12 says, that the whole duty of man is to fear Elohim, fear God, and keep his commandments. And when we can keep that as the foreshadowing of how we guide our life, when we go through these transitions, you might be lost in where you're going, but you'll never be lost in who you are, because who you are is not identified by your by your degrees. It's not identified by your field. It's not identified by your habits or the habits that you broke. You're not a recovering alcoholic. You're not on step 3. No, you are one who follows after the heart of the Most High. You are a child of the Most High God. That's who you are. Identify yourself there. Live in that purpose first, and everything else will begin to full circle itself back to you becoming a better you.
Man, I think when I was in the military, I was considered the doc, not a medic. I was the medic. I was the head medic. And when the mess hit the fan, I had to run to whatever. I had to run to the explosion, to the fire, to somebody getting shot. I couldn't run away from whatever the problem was. I couldn't just run away from it. I had to run to it because that was my job. And in that, I found purpose in helping people, and almost to where you can get a God complex because you need it. When I retired, I didn't know what to do with myself, didn't have any purpose. So what I had to do was learn who Roland was, not Sergeant Walker, not any of those terms that I used in the military, but I had to really learn who Roland had become over the years, and I had to unlearn some things. So the importance of discovering your purpose is to find out who you really are so you can quit lying to yourself, so you can become who you are destined to be, because you know you as you right now, that's not who you're destined to be. And if you can just sense an inkling of greatness in you, that's what you got to push towards. You got to say, okay, I know I've been damaged, but I'm not damaged. I know I've been hurt, but I'm not hurt. So I can't continue to live in my hurt to where every time something exposes it, I got to lash out. That's not where I want to be. So even though I still hurt in places, once I feel that pain, I say, okay, I got to work on that. And that's something that I have to work on. I have to be better. I have to do, because I can't depend on anybody else to do it. The hard work is my work. The long haul work is for me to do. The dumping is for me to do. I can't depend on anybody else to do it for me. This is something that we have to do ourselves. We can have help with the pruning, but we have to make sure we dump the trash. We have to make sure that we get around like-minded people so that those, as we said earlier, times where it may be lonely, you'll find people that are on the same road, the same journey as you. So that purpose journey gets a little bit friendlier, and you see a friendly face, you can nod. It's like when you go into a place, uh, like when I would go into the SBC Southern Baptist Convention, it's like 85% Caucasian, no problem with that. But it's just nice to see somebody that look like you, and you give them the head nod, and they give you the head nod back, because you know that somebody else is on this journey with you. So while you're looking for your importance, find yourself and you will find your purpose, not important purpose.
I love it. All great comments. I am going to keep mine short because I want to make sure I get everybody out here in a pretty decent amount of time. Earl Nightingale once said that the definition of success is the progressive realization of a worthy idea. I think we have to come to the realization is that the first worthy idea that you need to understand is that you are not the sum total of any external circumstance, any external feature. You're not the sum total of your circumstances. You're not the sum total of your external bodily feature. None of that is who you really are. We need to get out of the habit of calling ourselves by our job titles, like Roland said. You may have went to the law. You may have went to law school and you may have passed the bar exam, but you're a lawyer by trade, but that's not who you are. You may have went to medical school and you're a doctor by trade, but that's not who you are. You are something much more fulfilling than that. That's what tomorrow morning is going to be all about. I will be teaching about that thing. Understanding your purpose and understanding your calling is a thing, it is a gateway. But the other side of that is the thing that most people are trying to get to. The thing that I am learning is that people want success without the sacrifice. It doesn't work. It does not work. You will get the image of success and you're going to over gratify yourself because you're going to celebrate with those people who believe in superficial means. But for people who really know, for people who really understand, we're not buying it. We're not buying it. So again, don't chase the things, chase the internal fire that's within you that is destined to come out of you. It's going to come out one way or the other. You can do it the easy way or you can do it the hard way. Why not choose the easy way so that you don't have to go through the pain and struggle and suffering that we talked about? I like the comment at the end of the conversation about the rites of passage. We men across the board, and I'm just talking to men right now, right? We men need to be influential in the lives of young men. I don't care if they're not your child or not. I'm just being honest. Listen, don't hesitate to do two things. Don't hesitate to pour into their future. Don't hesitate to point them back to their father. That is essential. Now, whether the father receives them, that's between them and the father to work out. But it's important that you do not deny the opportunity to help a younger person. I think that's important. And I think on the other side, women, I think I'm safe to say the same thing for you as well. Do not hesitate to pour into a younger woman. They need that guidance. They need that mentorship. And the thing that I would say, make sure that you're doing it from an authentic place. This is not your second chance at adolescent living. This is your chance to be significant in the development of the life of that individual. So that said, great conversation tonight. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everybody. Like I said, I will be doing some teaching in the morning. The link is in the chat. If you're in a Diamond Club, you automatically get an alibi. You're in the room. So I am looking forward to talking to you guys in the morning. And as always, I always appreciate these conversations on Friday nights. These gentlemen, as you guys see, are fire. I love them dearly. They're awesome. They bring so much to the table, and I greatly appreciate what they do. And I know I speak for them when I tell you guys that we greatly appreciate you, especially you guys in the chat. Ms. Verlene McCoy, good to see you. I know you came in late. I wanted to make sure that I address you. And I think I've seen May Bird as well. So welcome to the show. And again, we appreciate you. Listen, you guys have an awesome rest of your evening and have an even better weekend for those who are going to join us tomorrow. We look forward to seeing you then. For those who can't join, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Same time next week, same channel. We will be continuing another great conversation on the Hearts of Men podcast.